Looks like we're live, Dan.
We are live. Welcome, everyone, to another FutureProof You AMA. Today, we are talking about careers, AI, interviews. Oh my, we're doing it all today. So, John, it's always good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you too.
To the audience, please ask questions in the chat. We are here to answer your questions, and we are here to help you out. It's not started yet.
Yeah, I don't see it either. On LinkedIn, at least.
We're on.
I still see it as upcoming.
Starting soon.
Mm-hmm.
This restream is a pain in the butt. It says live, maybe it's live on Facebook, YouTube.
It looks like it's the pre-live. And it says starting soon on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn says we're streaming on Restream. It says we're streaming.
Huh. It's not showing on LinkedIn. Let me check on my... It's weird when it doesn't do that, huh?
Has anybody in the chat? Oh, there you go. Jess says, be right back.
Oh, there we go. So we are live on LinkedIn. Excellent.
Anybody else in the audience, please give us a shout so that we know you're out there. We're trying out some new tech, Restream, and we're just testing everything. So we appreciate your patience with us.
If you have any questions, comments, feel free to post them below, and we'll answer as needed. How's your week going, Dan?
It is going very busy, really busy. It's great. We have a lot of searches going on, a lot of coaching opportunities, and I am going to the Ascend Engage conference down in Orlando next week. So that is a lot of fun to think about. We're going to be meeting with early, mid, and senior careerists, helping them with their journey and their path. It is an annual event held by Ascend, which is the Asian American networking group, and they're expecting probably 1,000, 1,500.
Oh, wow. It's a big conference.
Pretty big conference down in Orlando, right in Disney. So, right. Thank you so much for Karen. Thank you so much for your comment. Awesome. Karen, how's it going? We'd love to hear from you or from anybody else in the audience, how your job search is going, Karen. I love the content that you continue to produce regularly. Of course, we'd love to see more of it. So love to hear how the searches are going, your job search, from anybody in the audience. Who else is out there? Anybody have questions, please ask us. We are here for you. So John, as we wait, Jess, you will have a question for us in a second. Excellent. So John, with the recent news around this administration's policy on AI, right? It seems that there's been this swing back and forth, right, between letting AI just go run free or only doing one direction. It's interesting how some of the thoughts are pretty insular to the U.S., but of course, we know that AI is everywhere, right?
Yeah.
I think thinking that AI is only in the U.S. is a little bit myopic. I think there's an opportunity for other countries to really take the lead. Having more bandwidth or freedom to handle their. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, the administration indicated a kind of lax approach towards AI currently. So at least that's what I read recently. So
Oh,
I'd imagine.
Hans, thank you for joining. Hans Hummel. All right, I'm just here to learn. Thank you for joining us. So I had read that it was saying that one part of it was they didn't want a certain political ideology to be emphasized.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, of course that would be the case. This current climate, people. I mean, you look at Grok; it goes anywhere from being unbiased to ready to start doing some scary things. So, AI needs guardrails for sure, and we don't have a lot of them here in the U.S. yet. I think people are still trying to figure out how AI is going to be implemented. The other thing too is we're acting like it's such a new thing. It's really, for anyone listening, when we talk about AI and talking about it as a new thing, it's really around generative AI or agentic AI, things that are mimicking human behavior.
Yes, and we've been teaching classes around that. So
Yeah.
our colleague Aaron, he's on holiday this week. He is one of the leaders of the teaching that we have at FutureProof U, and he's great with teaching the practical ways to create better prompts and really interact with the content you would like to source.
You'd be so excited to use some of the AI stuff I've been doing, Dan. It makes life so easy. I was teaching the team.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. That's great. But it's awesome, right? That you're now the go-to person, right? You're the go-to person in your organization, and we encourage our audience become that go-to person, right? It's almost like you're making yourself indispensable.
Yeah.
Right.
The hard part is whenever you become the go-to person, remember the first person who set up the printer and then they're the one who has to troubleshoot. That's the challenging part. And certainly that can drive you a little bit crazy sometimes because people will be like, I don't understand why this isn't working the way I want to. I'm like, just try a different prompt. Maybe you're overdoing it. Maybe you should start more simply, see what comes out, and then edit from there instead of writing an entire dissertation first. It's you got to experiment. That's why early adopters don't just know it. They figure it out. They experiment. And as someone who's chronically been an early adopter, because I experiment, now I know how things work more easily every new product that comes out because there's some common behaviors you just start to see patterns in.
Right. Well, and this is not just for everyday use, right? It's also great for being that person, right? In your
career-wise,
right? Career-wise, we encourage everybody to explore and nobody expects perfection, right? And it's new, so you're gonna suck at it, right? And that's okay.
Yeah.
Right. Be brave enough to suck at something new. So test and iterate. So,
but also if you're paying attention, I doubt it. You'll always be better than the next person next to you if you're the first one to attack it.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. So, with job interviews, I know that's your favorite topic.
Always.
Right? Coaching people to succeed in their job search, especially in the one-on-one, usually the one-on-one process of interviews. Some of the things that we love to talk about is storytelling, right? And engaging people with stories. Why do you think the storytelling is the way to go with interviews?
Yeah. First of all, I'll use a prime example because I just had a success story with one of my coachees who was struggling to break into an industry she had some experience with, but it was from founding her own business in the space versus going to a large corporate version of the same thing. And so for her, it wasn't quite an industry pivot so much as showing that she could scale. Now, part of, and I'm not going to go into details about the business or anything, but I knew the business pretty well just based on it being a pretty popular company, but also some things you could just glean by going to these types of businesses. And so it's one of those places where culture fit is a huge part of the environment. And so it's a grocery business. This person is obsessed with quality products, quality foods, like, just the process of running a grocery store, had done it themselves and just couldn't translate that small mom and pop to a larger environment. And so ultimately it took storytelling, and storytelling in this case was, what were the trials, tribulations? How did you build the business? And then also it had to include that element of being such a huge fan of the brand, because such a culture forward business, if you love the brand, there are so many things that will continue to develop in the conversation that show, what, this person's going to go above and beyond, and their level of commitment is going to be very high. And at the end of the day, when people are hiring, they're looking for two things. Are they competent enough to do the job, and do they want us?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And a subcomponent of do they want us, wanting to feel wanted, is, do we think they're going to stay here for a while? So
Right.
showing that level of commitment through deep interest without being creepy, not like, oh, I saw your page the other day, but that's part of storytelling that I think can shine through in an interview. And it depends on who you're interviewing with. We have a question from the audience. Amanda asked, are organizations or employers subscribing to a training platform to guide their employees in AI? Is there one platform leading the pack? From my understanding, there's not one platform to lead them all as of yet, Amanda. It's still early days. What we're seeing a lot of, and we've been talking about this probably for a month and a half, 2 months now, is companies have been announcing their AI first. I started coming up with a catchphrase. I can't help it. There's like a marketer brain deep in there, even though I've never been a marketer. I use the phrase, hey, talent, you don't want to be AI last, right? Because that's usually the person who's packing up their desk once their AI first company has reached the pinnacle of what they're looking for. No, so there are organizations that are specifically driving towards AI first, and I'm sure they're either partnering with training groups or training platforms to really hone their AI strategy. But because AI is evolving constantly, I think the person who's going to succeed is that person in training and development that's staying on top of the ball, the person in product who's staying on top of the ball, looking at the new models. These models are across a bunch of different platforms. Is there a platform that consolidates them, like a Perplexity, where you can use almost any of the AI models? It's just a tool to do deep research. It's going to shift, and it's going to continue to do so. It's still early days. Dan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I've loved Perplexity Pro, right?
It's amazing
because you can ask the same question to multiple platforms and pick the answer you like, right? Or pick the answer that fits your needs the best. I think there's something to be said about an aggregator, right? So in financial services, there's aggregators in many different industries. There's the aggregator. And so rather than using one platform and then switching over, go try to find what's the more efficient way of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
We have another question from the audience. What's the best way to handle keyword variation in marketing roles when optimizing for ATS? So that's the applicant tracking system, I believe they're asking about. So many changeable terms, partner marketing, B2B, sponsor, client, etc. John, love to
use the terms they're using.
Yeah.
It's so funny too, because I talk to a lot of marketers, and I'm actually working a VP of marketing search currently, and they're looking for demand gen. And I speak to a lot of people who are like, yeah, a lot of us don't even use that term anymore. We're just focused on growth wherever it's coming from, right? And it could easily be a VP of growth, but companies just use their own lingo. Marketing is one of those unique fields where they really do have so many different sub-disciplines. It really also depends on what stage the company is, because some companies aren't going to invest in paid. They're going to go more towards organic, social, maybe email campaigns. And so, depending on what stage they're at, you might have to lean into one of those skill sets versus the other. Unfortunately, it's more tailored. LinkedIn profile, if you're going to do, I'm assuming this is the same user, but if you're going to create keywords for LinkedIn profile, include them all, include any of them that fit. We're a more is more type of group here. We think the more keywords, the more searchable, and the more repetition of said keywords, the more searchable you are, because you'll show up higher on the list.
Yeah, so that's a little bit about how the sausage is made with recruiters and headhunters using LinkedIn Recruiter. The algo will prioritize those profiles in the search that use those terms that you're targeting more frequently. So
Yeah.
weave your keywords, right? So partner marketing, B2B sponsor, whatever it is, weave your keywords into your stories.
If you want to show up as high on the list as possible, there are a few things that you should be doing to ensure that. Have a picture, have a banner
photo,
no matter what it is, but those are prioritized. Your LinkedIn profile has to read 100% complete. That includes, you need 2 recommendations, and you need to have at least several skills, as far as I know. But if your profile doesn't read 100% complete, you're going to show up lower on the list than somewhere else. And then the other piece, of course, is your network affinity to someone else. Now, LinkedIn's algorithm is kind of behind closed doors. We don't know exactly what they prioritize, but we can assume based on certain things. And we know profile completeness and distance from a person are 2 of the major ones, on top of keyword prevalence.
Right. So this goes directly into what we teach, right? So I think all of us have been brought up in a world where the resumes...
In a world.
What's that?
In a world.
In a world where the resume is the be all end all, the LinkedIn profile actually should be everything plus the kitchen sink, right? And so, in
at least geared towards your search, right? Like, I would say, don't put your job as an ice cream scooper on there. That's just going to be a waste of data, unless you want to go back into the ice cream industry.
Right.
But if it's relevant to your current career trajectory.
Right. And so we want to make sure that, we have a profile that is targeted towards the directions that we're going for. So the growth industries, the industries that you're going for, it should be targeted towards those industries. So that's the first thing. And from a mental perspective or philosophical perspective, the resume is reactionary, right? You're going to create a resume that's customized for a job that you're interested in, for a hiring manager or an interview that you're going to talk to, right? And so that's reactionary. The LinkedIn is proactive. So be proactive and take control of how you market yourself. And so finish your profile, give out some recommendations so you'll get some back, right? So be proactive, give them out and give out 10, maybe you get 1 back.
Yeah.
Right. And network. I mean, we emphasize that in our classes, in our networking classes, in our LinkedIn profile classes. You can
in our AMAs.
AMAs just today. You can look it up, on our website, futureproof-you.com. Please go there. We have a ton of free content as well, not just our classes, with our blog and our podcast, all under the blog tab. But yeah, so Danielle, thank you for the question about LinkedIn profiles. Please, make sure it's complete, and that's purely in your control.
Yeah, and I would say, as a marketer, one of the ways you network, we say networking isn't just, hey Dan, I need a favor, help me. Another way to network is to just be in front of people, right? Content is an engine that works really well for you behind the scenes. There are posts that Dan and I have from weeks ago that still get
months.
60 impressions, 100 impressions. And the algorithm does that to push content's longevity. And so, if you put some content out there, and it doesn't even have to be your own, it could be reactions to an article. It could just be a short little, as I mentioned, I've been using technology, AI in my process. I have all of my candidate calls tied to a Google Doc using a transcript recorder, and then I use Perplexity to pull out quotes of mine. So if you look at my profile and you see any quotes that are kind of short, a lot of those are actual direct phrases that were in part of my conversations with somebody. I might truncate them for simplicity, might reduce like, and but for anything else, it is my authentic content. And so in a time when people are afraid that AI is going to reduce their authenticity, you can be the first person to start using it to generate more of your own authenticity.
Absolutely right. So we have talked about the stats, right, around LinkedIn usage. Only 3% of all LinkedIn users have ever posted one time. So just imagine the impact that you could have by posting once a week, once every other day. You would climb into that algo, right, as a person that is a prominent poster, has that cares about their career and their personal brand, right? If you're that one person, that's posting every day, it's going to stand out, and recruiters and headhunters, they'll actually notice. They'll actually notice because you actually care about their industry, the one that you're attacking, more so than a candidate that just has a plain old profile.
It's also just SEO. We don't know if LinkedIn pushes more engaged users to the top of the list, but I wouldn't be shocked if they do, because LinkedIn wants. Think about it this way: what they sell to us recruiters is we're giving you a platform to engage with talent and get the talent that you're looking for. Part of that searchability and being able to find the people that we're looking for. Well, how are they going to do that? They want people who have complete profiles so that we know that we're finding the right person. But they also want to guarantee that that person's going to respond, because if people don't respond to our in-mails, LinkedIn means nothing to us. It's zero value. And so how do they get people to respond to in-mails? They make sure that they're engaged on the platform. And how do they know? They look at the time on platform. They probably also look at whether the person is engaging and creating content, because if that person's creating content, they're more likely to be responsive. And if that's the case, they might put that person higher up on the list than someone who's never posted a thing. But also, you'll notice people who haven't posted a thing also probably don't have any content on their LinkedIn profile to begin with. It's usually people who are engaged in LinkedIn are actually behaving the way they should be, or at least closer than those who aren't.
Yeah. The minimalist profile doesn't do anything for you. So, question from the audience.
It's more of a statement.
Yeah, it's a statement. Yes, I've gotten a lot more engagement in the last couple of weeks since I've been focusing on posting and commenting more frequently. I love it. And I wonder who that is. Hold on a second. We got
I think I know who it is.
It's showing up as LinkedIn user on our side, and that's Karen. Yes, Karen. We have noticed. John and I were actually talking about it the other day. We're saying, look at Karen. Look at her. That's awesome. Get out more. It is
also tagging the person they're commenting.
Yep, tagging and hashtagging. It all works. It all works. Especially if you're commenting on other people's posts. So if you were to comment on somebody that has 100,000 followers, you might have gotten 100,000 impressions on that response. Potential, right? Mm-hmm. So if they have 100,000 followers, comment on their posts. It's instant scale to how you're going to create your brand. Amanda, thank you. You are welcome. Thank you so much for your comment and your question today. Please, to the audience, continue to ask questions. We are here for you. We try to do these every week. It's a lot of fun for us. I get to see John since I don't get to talk to him every day. It's a opportunity for us to provide value back to you. So this conference that I'm going to next week, it's should be a lot of fun. I've already signed up for a bunch of sessions around career development and mentoring. I can't wait for this Ascend Engage. Tim, thank you so much. Post your W's, post your lessons from L's. That's right. You know, in sports and in real life, you know, there's wins, and you win and learn, or you learn, and that's okay. And yes, posting your lessons from your losses, that's
and
okay.
you learn way more from losses than wins. Wins just confirm what you already believe. Losses change your beliefs.
Absolutely, that's great. That's John, the psychology major's coming out of you right there.
That would be a quote that I would pull from my perplexity to post on my LinkedIn to create content. See, as Dan would say, we've just created content.
We just created content. Look at that. Look at us. Look at us.
My content about content is your content.
All right, here. I'm full of questions today. From a recruiter hiring manager perspective, what actually happens after I apply to a role online? Who sees it first? If you apply after the first day or two, do you even stand a chance? So that's 3 questions. We'll address the first one first. And John, I know you want to tackle this one.
I used to work in-house, so I'm very familiar with the way the process works, even more so than on the agency side. It varies depending on the company. Now, we are in an unprecedented time where highly talented people are out of work at the same time. And so a lot of jobs do get a ton of applicants. I think the first challenge is if you're applying to get the job, you've already got a disadvantage. If it says so for starters, if LinkedIn says there's 600 applicants that have clicked apply, chances are that's a smaller number. But if that number is still even remotely close, it's very hard to go through that number of applications. There are not to my knowledge anyway, is there any applicant tracking system that makes it super easy to navigate through those profiles. And as much as people think AI is involved, like this silly Workday lawsuit that is totally frivolous and should be thrown out personally, because I know they don't use AI in this way. There's no AI throwing you out. The closest thing that can happen is you answer knockout questions, and if you get a rejection within a few minutes, it was a knockout question that you answered. Or someone just so happens to be going through the candidate pool.
So let's give an example of some knockout questions. Like, are you willing to relocate to this city? Right? Like, that's one.
Yeah.
Do you have,
or travel up to 20% of the time? How many years of experience do you have in XYZ? And if you don't have the minimum, which again, if you're applying to a job where you don't have the minimum, at least in this competitive marketplace, you're probably not going to get it. You might get the job through some other means, through networking, but applying, those questions are meant to help people filter down the candidate pool because it's overwhelming. So yes, a recruiter is likely the first person to see your profile. They'll likely read through it and make a determination. If they make a determination at that moment, they might have an automation set up that will message you and say, hey, you didn't get the job. Not all companies enable that functionality. So you may be declined and you won't get the notification until they close the job. Because some companies will do that. They'll mass check everyone off and let them know. I've been working at my current company now for 3 or 3.5 months. I got a rejection from something I applied to in January. Thanks. Super helpful. Not good candidate experience. So it's truly a black box. once you apply and you're determined whether or not you meet the minimum qualifications, either a recruiter will call you up and do a screening, or if they have some kind of technology like a higher view, like do your video recording, or now there are some AI interview bots that companies are introducing.
The worst.
All those things. Well, I will argue against that in a second.
Oh,
But
okay.
let's talk about this first.
But before we get there, I want to know if I would like to hear from you, and we've talked about this a ton, the difference between apply and easy apply.
Yeah. So within LinkedIn, now LinkedIn's adding more and more features that I think are helpful for people who easy apply. So it is changing every day because LinkedIn will tell you how active a company is at looking through the profiles and changing the statuses, which they did not do a few months ago or a year ago.
That's right.
But easy apply, your application goes into a LinkedIn project and it sits there, and recruiters will go through it manually. And again, it's no faster or no slower than an ATS. They also have knockout questions. But whatever number the easy apply positions say, that's a total number. It's accurate. If it's apply, that's the click-through rate. Most applicant tracking systems have a 30 to 40% drop off of applications during the application process. If it's Workday, it's probably 70% because people are tired of filling out the same thing over and over again, including their entire resume history. But there's a difference there. And so if there's an easy apply, you can't guarantee you've made it through to their applicant tracking system, which means you might not be searchable for that company in the future. So if you don't get the job this go round, but they have another opening, maybe they'll go back to that LinkedIn job posting. Maybe they won't. It really depends. We don't know. Not every company has specialist recruiters. I recruit product and product design primarily with like some other digital stuff. But if I were on another product search, I would go, I got to go back to that other one and see what's going on there. That doesn't always happen. So you can't guarantee that. So easy apply, fine, especially if it's super easy, and especially if it's actively being looked at, but then go apply on their ATS if it's not too cumbersome. So anyway, once you get through that process, either you get screened by the recruiter or they'll send your resume to the hiring manager, get their thoughts, and someone else will do the first screen. And then the standard process happens, anywhere from 3 to 20,000 interviews, negotiation, and offer.
We have another question from the audience. What is Perplexity AI good at doing?
Everything. No. Do you want to answer this, Dan? I've been talking a lot.
I think Perplexity is stronger in research. So if you want to research topics and then put two disparate concepts together, I think it's stronger at that. So
it's good at synthesizing information in general. In general, like I wrote a white paper with it. I didn't have to edit it at all. It's really good for like academic research type things. Obviously, you're not going to want to use this for school projects, but I wrote an AI white paper on hiring with AI and used AI. I think it's just fitting.
I wrote my my article on Kiwi Kwan's journey and how it relates to career pivots. Right. So we have another question from the audience. I recently had a screening interview with a recruiter for a role. He then sent me to the HR partner responsible for the role. Now the HR partner says they're discussing internally to see which candidates move on to the hiring manager. What should I do to stay relevant while they discuss, assuming they are actually discussing the candidates? I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I think it becomes kind of challenging when you're still at that HR phase. I also question why they would bother having a recruiter and an HRBP involved in the process. My guess would be the recruiting function is more broad and the HR business partner is well more in tune with their client group, based on my experience with those types of groups, if that's the way that's going to be. because usually it would be an HRBP if they were in the interview process after a recruiter. They would probably be in some later stage interview, and it would be more to make sure that the process is running smoothly, consistent, maybe to try and give you some insight into the what to expect with the compensation or any other elements. To stay relevant, I think it's about what I like to call politely pestering people. Now, they're both in HR, so they get pestered a lot, trust me. Part of the problem is we don't have enough people in these groups to adequately go through the applicant flow needed. And so I would follow up with whoever your point of contact is. I'm assuming the recruiter, but if you have the HR business partners contact, follow up with both of them. Just, one of the ways that I like to politely pester is to create some level of scarcity. And you do that by saying something to the effect of, "Hi, so-and-so, just plotting out my week of interviews. I wanted to be proactive in case you have the schedule of the hiring manager coming up. I know it's vacation season. I have this time, and this time available. Happy to make a meeting happen if you're still interested in me." And what that does is that establishes I'm not on the market forever. I'm actively looking. Other people are seeking me out, and I'm being proactive at giving you time. And they may not respond, but chances are they'll respond and give you more insight as to whether or not they're serious about considering you, or they'll decline you. Now, a lot of people are afraid of getting that decline because they don't want to hear that they're no longer moving forward. But if you're being stalled, you're not moving forward anyway. So be able to remove that from your list as fast as possible. The fear of missing out and losing something shouldn't be greater than the opportunity that no longer having that on your docket presents, as much as we want that opportunity.
Yeah, and we're all selling, right? We're marketing ourselves on LinkedIn and with our content, and in the interview, we're selling. Right? We have a resume, which is a product marketing or sales enablement, and we're selling. And all good salespeople, the best salespeople, sell to the no. You want a fast no, or you'll take a maybe.
Yeah, cut me loose. Tell me something.
Yeah,
that's what we do in business development all the time. I'm like, I don't care if you tell me no, just tell it to me.
Yeah.
I want to hear something from you. I don't want to hear nothing from you.
Yeah.
I literally have an email that goes out in my BD. We call it, Dan's seen this before, I think. Yeah. Do you know which one I'm referencing?
Go ahead.
I call it the Bueller, and it literally starts with Bueller ... on the top, and it has a picture of Ben Stein saying Bueller, Bueller, Bueller. And I say something to the effect of, I'm guessing you're not looking for recruiting support right now, or you've already found your candidate, or that job posting's a ghost job. Regardless, if you ever need help, I'm best at the world at this, this, and this.
Yep, that's it. Yeah, the Bueller's great. All right, we have some more questions. This is great. A lot of questions today. Why doesn't Workday do some sort of comment app whereby one user can fill out a profile once, and then companies can search on the fields they're looking for and get crafted lists of candidates? So Workday might not, but there's Indeed, and there's ZipRecruiter, right? Where
see my face.
Yeah, I know. Oh yeah, me too. Ugh.
No offense, Indeed and Zip.
Yeah, but what companies will do is they'll go looking that way. Right. And so you're putting yourself out there. Now, the problem is that, that everybody talks about themselves in a verbiage, right, in a vernacular that's specific to the companies they used to work for. And the companies, they're also using a vernacular that's specific to that company. So your terms may not match up, right? Your words are that they may not match up. And so I think it's a little narrow.
I personally think there's two aspects that are kind of driving this. First and foremost, if you look at the companies that choose Workday, because Workday is not the only application that makes you repeat these things. Greenhouse does too, but they don't make you fill in profile information. You just need a resume, right? It's just a more streamlined application. Typically, it's how companies set them up. Companies that choose Workday over some other product tend to be larger companies. Why do they tend to be larger companies? Because Workday is not just an applicant tracking system. It's an ERP, which means Workday covers the entire full employee life cycle, not just hiring. Whereas Greenhouse is just hiring. And so those features are obviously, let's get people through the door, but it's also built for smaller companies. Mm-hmm. Companies that choose Workday are larger companies. They want more details about you up front because as soon as you get hired, that stuff ports into a profile and they can manage you as talent management through the entire life cycle, all this stuff, right? That's why it's very cumbersome. Whereas it probably should ask you those things after you've been hired, so that you don't need to go through something so bulky. The reason they don't do a common app is data. Workday doesn't actually save your data on Workday's side. They save it on the cloud for their customer. Yeah. So each customer's instance is different. Yeah. Now, a good example of where this is sort of playing out for someone like our business, my business, the company that I work for, we use a tool called Loxo. It's geared towards agencies, but Loxo I can source candidates in Loxo that aren't in my database. Sorry, I just got a call that I have no idea who it is. Anyway, I can source candidates in my Loxo that's not in my database and then add them to my database. Loxo has proprietary databases of candidates. They will not take a candidate that's applied to my company in my database and put it in their broader database. They keep it separate. And so it's kind of like a data quality, data validation, but also just data privacy situation. And I would imagine Workday just doesn't want to get encumbered with that. They're also owned by IBM. So, big company owned by big company that's being used by big companies.
That's right. So, all right, we have another question here from the audience. AI and WhatsApp. Are you folks aware of any useful AI add-ons to WhatsApp or anything useful? I want to help a team of volunteers communicate better, and they communicate with WhatsApp, but one-on-one. They need to use WhatsApp group features. Can AI help? I do not know the nuances of AI and WhatsApp.
Me neither, unfortunately. I would imagine since is WhatsApp Meta product?
Right. I forget the name.
I think WhatsApp is. Let me double check.
Meta, WhatsApp is a Meta product. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're proprietary. Yeah. I'm sure they have some proprietary stuff to help from an AI perspective, but I don't know much about it.
Thank you to the audience so far. A lot of great questions. Appreciate the participation. My name is Dan Yu, and I'm with John Lovig. We are two of the partners of FutureProof U. You can find out more about our firm, our classes, and also our content on our website at futureproof-you.com. We are here today. This is our AMA. We try to do these weekly. We are here to help you, the audience, and answer your questions about job search, job interviews. We love this stuff. We nerd out on this stuff, and we're passionate about helping people. So any questions, please put them into the chat. We are here for you. Oh, we have some more here. Still waiting for some more questions, but we've had some great questions, especially around the mechanics of the ATSs.
Oh, now, Dan, while we wait for a question, I want to go back to AI interviews being the worst. Yes. I vehemently disagree, and the reason being,
you like HireVue?
Not HireVue, AI interviews.
Okay.
Oh no, who wants to record a one-sided video? I'm sorry, that is in a buyer's market. That's not in a candidate market.
Yeah.
So right now, companies can use that, but when candidates are picky, ditch the higher view. But I just wouldn't bother with it.
Okay.
It's awkward to say the least. I feel uncomfortable. It's just weird. You don't build rapport. You don't get a good sense of how the person really is. They'll give you all kinds of metrics about why it's successful, but it's always, you look at all the metrics. It never says anything about candidate satisfaction being higher. What I was going to say is the AI interview process is really interesting. There are some tools coming up for that. The reason why I think it's interesting is you're taking a process where we as recruiters, particularly internal recruiters, are not necessarily choosing the best candidate. They're choosing the resume that reflects the candidate that reads the best, right? And so you're not actually evaluating candidate success. You're evaluating a candidate's ability to articulate their value proposition on paper. And a lot of people struggle with that, including some of our recruiter friends. I struggle with it. It's so much easier to articulate someone else's resume problems than your own. You always need like at least a third party or two to tell you, whether it's a friend, family member, coworker, mentor, someone to call you out, and also to tell you what you're missing. But AI interviews enable companies, and it helps companies too, but enables companies to look at the broader pool and say, hey, I want to interview anyone who meets the minimum criteria. And it will surface all the people, as long as they've trained it without bias, but it will look at all the people and make a judgment based on how someone discussed their experience versus looking at only the people who look good on paper. And so you can get closer to the true person who can do the job versus the person who's good at marketing themselves.
Question. So question, maybe for the audience, so that they're aware, what is an AI interview versus an AI enhanced interview? Like what?
Yeah. So an AI there are tools coming out where there's AI agents setting up interviews with candidates, and an AI interviewer is interviewing you and asking you questions, just like you'd be in a normal interview.
Okay.
Yes, it saves companies a ton of time, but it gives people the opportunity to interview and talk about their successes. Now, it might still be awkward because it's not as human as a human, but it's better than a higher view where it's a one-sided, I'm reading from a question and then I'm answering into again, instead of giving you a black box feeling, because you can ask the AI questions and it will be able to tell you some things. But that, I think, will be the future of reducing candidate pools to the absolute right group of people, not the people that look the best on paper.
We have another question from the audience. Are you familiar with Microsoft Copilot? Is it a true AI app? I am not. John probably is.
It seems like it is somewhat. It's definitely my least favorite, which is no shocker.
Yeah, I think after you told me that it wasn't very good, I didn't even bother.
Yeah, it's Gemini is so much more powerful.
Great.
Fantastic AI already. And I mean, you see that there was a commercial done that is like normally would cost millions of dollars that Veo via Gemini did in minutes. I feel bad for the advertising industry. That's for sure.
All right. We have another question here. I'm a senior level marketing generalist, but most openings I see are looking for specialists. What's the strongest way to move forward in today's competitive market? Should I position myself on LinkedIn to highlighting my diverse experience or focus on a specialty, even if I may not have the depth companies are seeking and risk being ruled out? I do tailor my resume for job applications. So great question, Danielle. I think the initial part is you have to network. right? So you're applying online, and we've talked about the massive applications that companies are seeing, right? So if you think of if there's 1,000 applicants on LinkedIn, how many are on the company website? How many are on other services, Indeed or whatever, right? And so think of the recruiter, right? So you're a marketing person. Think of the recruiter's experience, right? They have to go through and really slog through thousands of applicants, right? So how do you differentiate yourself? If you use AI to customize your resume for that job application, and you're using, let's say, ChatGPT, then how many other applicants are also doing the same thing? So how do you differentiate yourself? Networking, right? And so we teach this in our classes, but trying to reach maybe not the recruiter because they're getting bombarded, or even the hiring managers, they might be getting bombarded, but just other people in the company. Right? Use your network and leverage your network to see how you can get in. And then one thing that we teach that is very effective is reaching out to people who used to work at the company you're targeting, who used to work there. Guess what they have? They have cell phone numbers. They have home email addresses even sometimes. So break the process and get in front of a human so that you can differentiate yourself and say, these are the things, because nobody's going to fill a job description 100%.
Yeah. I also think it's a challenge in today's world where marketing is a discipline that's a prime example of this, because there's so many different subfields within marketing. As someone who's more of a generalist, what's the risk of specializing? Well, what if that discipline gets automated or goes away? But also, again, a lot of these companies are looking for depth in particular areas. In my opinion, pick a couple stronger areas. Performance marketing or growth, always good areas to sort of stay around. The key thing for a marketer, in my opinion, is being able to have to make data-driven decisions. And if that's what you're doing, then you should be able to adapt with the marketing function as time goes on. The other thing I would recommend is, as someone who's a generalist, think about your unique value add as someone who could put all the pieces together. You probably would work well in an early stage company as someone who could work between the different marketing functions and able to really put the total picture together. Most CMOs aren't specialists, right? They're generalists because they have to know at least a little bit of everything. Those people, though, typically have a strong arm and a weak arm. And you probably want to do the same thing, is find an opportunity to get deeper into one or two areas so that you can continue through a track, but then never lose sight of the other parts of the discipline that you're savvy in.
Absolutely. What other AI tools should job seekers be using for their job search? I currently use ChatGPT Plus and JobScan.
Perplexity. Perplexity is something I use. So this morning I set up a task in Perplexity. It gave me a list of the top 10 news posts today about careers and job market. You can do the same thing as a job seeker. Mm-hmm. Any announcements of companies hiring in a particular area, any announcements of companies. And here's the thing. You got to start thinking like, I teach a whole course on this, but you got to start thinking like a recruiter. Don't apply to the job that posted today. Start networking at the company that announced the round of funding today. Start networking into that company. Start networking into a company that's announced a strategic shift today, because then you're going to get in front of them before the job's posted.
Yeah.
You might even represent an opportunity for them.
And then closer to them actually hiring, look for the companies that are hiring HR recruiters.
Yeah, exactly. It's my favorite. And especially if they're discipline specific,
Yes.
If they're hiring recruiters, they're not hiring one person. They're hiring at least 20, 30 people in the next year.
Right. right? Because they got to fill 20 or 30 positions. So
and then connect with those. You're going to have a hard time connecting with any of the existing recruiters, because chances are, if they're hiring another recruiter, they're overworked and they're ready to jump off a bridge. So, they're sitting there like, why don't we have AI looking through our applicants yet?
right, yeah. So think of different ways that you can attack. Right, attack a company, attack an industry, right? And then also, we've talked about at the top of the show, creating content, right? Create content about that industry that you want to get into.
By the way, I just thought of it as well. Perplexity is another great one. If you're going into an interview, you could do research on your interviewer. If you have your interviewer's LinkedIn page, say, I would like any news articles or content by this person. You might get YouTube videos. You could get all kinds of insight into the company you're interviewing, any kind of news, and really be armed with as much information as possible going into an interview.
Yeah, actually, so one of my clients, I've talked about them with you. They do a lot of content. They produce a lot of content. The CEOs on stages, they are out there marketing the company. The COO is out there marketing the company. I direct all of my candidates, go and talk, go and watch them talk. Mm-hmm. And you get a sense of the verbiage and the language that they use. So what are you doing? You're actually using an AI to have more EQ.
Yeah.
Have more EQ going into a meeting. So you bring the EQ always. Always. That's how you stand out, because there's a million of you, there's a million of me, there's a million of John, right? There's a million of us out there.
A million of me? No,
actually, there's only one John Lovick.
There literally is only one John Lovick.
There's only one John Lovick. There's actually there's a ton of Dan Hughes out there. The most famous is a female harpist.
Oh, nice.
So anyway, but like
for now,
yeah,
you're like, I'm working on it.
Yeah. So, but bring more EQ to your meetings. And how do you do that? You got to prepare. Comment. I'm using simpleapply.ai, and I'm on the second round of an interview for an IT position. Awesome. Right? Whatever, what?
That's great.
However, you're gonna hack the problem. Right? So,
and what you'll notice, one thing we haven't said. We're not telling you to be inauthentic in any way. We don't want you to be inauthentic. We think the answer is your authentic self. There's ways you can use AI to enhance your own authenticity. We're not saying write your cover letter with AI. We're saying train AI on your cover letter and then ask it to customize it based on the job description, right? It's still your writing. You're just using AI to speed yourself up so you don't have to waste so much time writing it again.
All right. We are at the top of the hour. Any last questions? If no,
that makes me think of news every time. We're at the top of the hour.
That's right.
This just in. It's almost 1 p.m.
If you have any other questions, you can reach out to John or myself directly. On LinkedIn, we will be happy to answer your DMs if you didn't want to ask something publicly, or if you just had something right now. You can find out more about FutureProof You at futureproof-you.com. You can learn about our courses. You can check out our blog, our podcasts. We have a ton of free content. Comment from the audience. Great idea on the cover letter. You're welcome. We have a ton of free content out there, but we have classes. We do individual coaching. We are here to help. John, any last word before we sign off?
Yeah, I would say if you're thinking of anyone else who might have found this particular session helpful, this content will live on YouTube and LinkedIn afterwards in perpetuity. So feel free to share it around and say, hey, I think you might find this interesting. We love helping people get as close to career success as they can, because it really lightens our day. And so if we think more people are going to benefit from it, we'd love for you to share it around and see if we can get more people some insights they need.
Yeah.
And thank you.
Thanks for the participation today. It's really great from the audience. We really appreciate everything you do for us in participating. We also have our podcast, which I mentioned. You can find it on our blog page, but if you want to check it out, it's our YouTube page. And it's the F Yourself podcast. So we are here to help you future-proof yourself, or as we say, go F yourself. All right. Thank you so much to the audience. It's been great. Have a great weekend, John.
You too, Dan.
All right. Thanks very much, everybody.